Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for December 15th, 2014. And I just want to make the statement that the meeting is being recorded and transmitted via cable television. Welcome to everyone that's watching us out there, and welcome to the audience that's here. And if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First up is our police department chief of police, Mr. Breen, and he's going to give us a little bit update and discussion around police department staffing. And the intent is not to vote on anything tonight, but I think we just need to hear what Mr. Breen has to say and give us some thought for budget time, right?
Yes, good evening.
Hi, Chief.
We have had, our staffing has fallen slightly below our charter, below our staffing levels, which would be 13 patrol officers. We're currently at 11. Additionally, we have had one officer to bring us to the 11, transferred to Peabody. And then a longtime veteran, many of you know, a lot of people in town know him. He's been an excellent officer for 30 years. Officer Charles Peabody will be retiring January 3rd. So we will have an additional opening there. So I've had discussions with the town administrator, Bill Gustus, about some of the needs for the department. As you know, back in 2009, we had a Badge Quest, which is a company that did an audit of the department, and one of the issues that they had was that at that time the staffing levels were barely adequate for the call load that we had then, and that was prior to Market Street. In addition, since that time, we've had 180 apartments at Market Street, several hundred up at Lynnfield Commons, which is the apartment building up on Route 1, Pyburn Road condominium development, the new development which will be built soon behind the 99 restaurant. I'm not sure how many units there are there. So our population has increased. The dynamic of the town with Market Street has changed, and so too must the Lynnfield Police Department. We don't currently have a full-time detective. We are the only community around that does not have one. So one of my desires since I became chief was to finally fulfill that role so that we had a dedicated officer in that position. You know, this officer would be trained, would be attending all of the detective meetings, would be sharing information that is vital to solving crimes. And we would have somebody who has a specific knowledge and training to perform these duties. Currently, we have a less than desirable pattern. We have 2 part-time detectives, but they're also patrol officers. So if we need something, we have to pull them from their position, fill that. And they, too, don't go to all of the training because they have to fulfill their obligations in filling shifts. So when we have a patrol officer investigate a crime from start to finish, it's kind of like having some type of an illness. So you go to your personal care physician or your primary care physician, and then instead of being referred to a specialist, he carries out your health care from start to finish. It's not it's not the optimal way to go, and I'm looking forward to finally having a full-time detective. In addition, I've had numerous conversations with the superintendent of schools, Jane Tremblay, and we've had meetings in every school, and I've had discussion with not only the superintendent, but the principals and vice principals, and some of the staff at the schools. They have expressed a strong desire to have a school resource officer. This is something that prior to August of this year, many communities did, but it was not mandatory. Ever since August of this year, Governor Patrick has signed a bill into law which now makes it mandatory for each city and town to have a school resource officer in their school district. So with that in mind, we do have a school resource officer in Officer Barnes, but he also satisfies the K-9, which we currently have through the Stanton grant. And it's difficult for him to pursue those two duties, and he fills a shift on the day shift. So he's wearing multiple hats, which is not, again, the way it really should be done. So with the school resource officer, we have an additional need in town, which has come about from many of the meetings that we've had with the board and with other meetings with Selectman Terranova, and through some discussions that I've had with many people in town, and that is to have some type of a full-time or quasi-full-time officer to fulfill the traffic enforcement role. So I think one of the things, if we are able to add to the staffing in our department with some of the levels that we talked about, and I'll get to that in a minute, we would be able to have an officer potentially fulfill both roles. So that officer would fulfill the school resource officer position. He could go into the schools in the morning, meet with the schools, meet with the superintendent. Any trouble that happened during the daytime, he would address, including going to Salem Juvenile Court. But he would also, after school is in session, and if he's no longer needed, he or she could go to the problem of the day, wherever we're having issues with traffic, and address the traffic problems. And then towards the end of the day, he could go back into the schools and meet with anybody if there were any problems. So the other offices would fill open positions, which we will have an additional one, like I said, January 3rd, when Officer Peabody goes. So our staffing levels right now are for us 13 maximum patrol officers. And we'd be looking to add 2 to that. One would be the school resource hybrid traffic enforcement officer, and one would be to allow us to finally appoint somebody into the criminal investigation division. He would run that unit. He would be a supervisor. Since we only have 4 sergeants currently, what I would like to do is add a 4th sergeant and make one of our current sergeants our criminal investigation division officer. So that would require an additional officer through the promotion of one of the patrolmen to that position. And then the other 2 would just be fulfilling our obligation to the 13 officers. So with the idea of hiring 4 people, which would essentially be 2 over what our staffing levels have been for the past 30 years, we now come to the dilemma of how do we do that? And I would ask that we hire 2 transfers and 2 individuals off the current eligibility list. We could send them to the academy, which begins in March. We'd really have to move quickly in that because the positions are filling up. It requires a physical agility test, a psychological exam, a physical exam, and then, of course, the background investigation. So that takes, we're really close in terms of the timeline. The 2 transfers could come in, and essentially in 1 week's time, they could start to fill shifts. That is beneficial in many ways. We've done it in the past. It has saved the town quite a sum of money because if you hire somebody off the eligibility list, that person is approximately 2 to 3 months before they start the academy, 6 months in the academy, and 3 months as in the field training program. So it's 1 year's time before that person is really able to come on and start filling shifts. So 2 transfers would help in that regard. We could get 2 non-veterans to come in, go into the academy, and then they would start to work probably around the beginning of 2016. So that's what I'd be looking for, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say or any questions.
So, Chief, what I'm hearing is we're looking for 4 positions. 2 are already there. We have them. They're already on our books. And then 2, one of them would be the school and the compliance traffic officer, and the other one would be the sergeant.
That's correct.
So the 2 that are already on our books, are those the 2 that you would consider transferring over?
If given the go-ahead, I would post it on the CGIS website, and we would see whether we had some enthusiasm like we've had in the past from area departments. The offices would have to submit an application to transfer, and then we would have a vetting process to determine if any of those offices were employees that we would like to have on board. We've done very well in the past, so I'd be interested to see how we do going forward. But
And the other two positions then would be from the list.
they would be from the current eligibility list,
Right.
which includes some people who are at the top of the list due to parents who were injured or killed in the line of duty, and then also veterans and then non-veterans. So the list, there's a large amount of Lynnfield residents on that list, but there are
Right.
also some who are not on the list.
So
Now,
that
some-
could take 9 to 10 months, or it could take a while, like you said.
It'll be almost a year before they actually start,
Okay.
from start to finish, before they're able to work the street by themselves.
And then the school officer slash traffic officer, would that need to be some administrative type of a position where they could be more flexible with their scheduling, or?
Well, we would have to discuss, I would have discussions with the union, because I'd like to have that person, that position have flexibility, because sometimes traffic issues are at night. You may have a large number of complaints with early evening traffic, late afternoon. Our shifts are currently 8 to 4, 4 to 12. So you'd like to have that officer to be able, if you were aware of something beforehand, you could assign that person maybe to a 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 12 to 8 p.m. to address those issues. But that's
And then there's still normally 2 officers on duty, right?
during the daytime. We have 2 officers Monday through Friday. All the other shifts and weekend day shifts, we have 3 patrol officers.
And then I guess a little more insight to me on the role of the traffic compliance officer. I mean, how is that person going to be utilized? How will that
They'd be
not
used.
monopolized and used townwide?
They would be utilized to address issues throughout the town. We've had, of course, it's well known, the issues on Walnut Street, and that's kind of morphed into now Salem Street residents who also want to be heard, and rightfully so. But we also have issues on Chestnut Street, Main Street. Occasionally we've got some complaints down on Essex Street.
Right.
And Lowell Street. So, wherever the complaints are, that's where you'd like to have that officer assigned, and you move that officer around to wherever the issues are, and, to the best of our ability. In addition to our patrol officers, you'd have a traffic enforcement officer. Now, just because we have a traffic enforcement officer, that does not mean that our patrol officers will still not have the responsibility of
Right.
going out and enforcing it. They will. But it would augment our current staffing levels to work it towards reducing traffic accidents, which is ultimately what you're trying to do with traffic enforcement.
Right. Okay. That was my questions.
You all set?
Yep.
Hi, Chief.
Hello.
Thank you. Yeah, as you know, we met about 4 weeks ago with some residents from town and the town administrator and discussed this whole issue. And a couple issues came up. One was the development plan at Market Street. And that plan, within it, talked about the hiring of a new police officer. And I think this coincides with not only meeting with that plan, but coincides with the opening and finish of Phase 2 of Market Street, which would, if it does create additional traffic and issues down in the Walnut, Salem Street area, this would remedy that and have someone on staff to address those situations, along with the Main Street and Summer Street issues that we've have dealt with over the last few years. So I think that would be a wonderful addition to it. Now, the fourth officer obviously was created for the promotion of Officer Secretary to detective, and to fill that spot. And I think that's also very much needed to keep the full staffing of a patrolman on staff, so we can also not be behind the 8 ball again. So I think what we talked about in that meeting and what you discussed tonight was exactly the same, and I certainly promote that and would encourage it throughout the town. And I think we're on the right thing. I certainly like the idea of hiring a couple new people off the list. We certainly want to keep track of that if we have the time. And it appears if we hire 2 immediately and then get 2 new ones off the list that we can put through the academy, get them by next Christmas or so, that'd be the right thing to do for the town.
Yes, and we've done very well, too, with hiring off the eligibility list.
Yeah.
The last 4 officers we had were Officer Caponegro, O'Connell, Provost, and Fitzmeyer, and they've been an excellent addition to our staff. They're well-liked, and they're very eager to learn, and they have been doing a great job.
That's great. Thank you.
I want to start, Chief Breen, by thanking you first for attending both my July and November meeting with the townsfolk regarding the Walnut Street and Salem Street issues. I'd like to, Bob, add this to our minutes, please. If you could pass that down to Bob. In that meeting, there was one critical issue that seemed to come up redundantly, and that was the excessive need for additional police enforcement. And really not just in the Walnut Salem Street area, but as you said earlier, all across Lynnfield. People have issues at times, and you have to move that officer around. So I think it's something that's been a long time coming. We've had studies done in the past that indicated we should be adding more than 2 officers. So I think you humbly requesting 2 is something that you have 1,000% of my support on. I think a lot of the problem solving can occur with this dedicated traffic officer. Of course, you can't park one officer in one spot every day for a week because people, find alternate routes, and then as soon as they see the officer's gone, boom, they're right back to where we started. So certainly it's a great idea of yours to have the officer move around and deal with the different issues that we have. We don't have a lot, but we do have issues that certainly do need to be addressed. And with Market Street only being about 60% open, there's another 40% coming, and we certainly do have the need for these officers. As far as the hiring, obviously your recommendation is the most important. And if you feel 2 transfers is the route to go into off the eligibility list, then of course I would support that as well. You've done a great job by the town during your tenure as police chief, so it doesn't make any sense anybody doubting your capabilities because you've done a great job. So I would certainly support that as well. And the 3 hires from the eligibility list are great young men. They're out there working real hard. I think they bring a new dynamic to the police department, and that is as they grew up in town, they know some of the younger kids that may change their ways as they see them driving by. I think we chatted about this once before, whereby if a young man knows the police officer, he doesn't know the police officer can't see him as he's driving by, but it may be just enough to stop him from thinking about doing something that may not be appropriate. So I think these younger officers are certainly a credibility to the town, a credit to you as well, and I think that is certainly the way for us to go. And I think at both my July and November meeting, as you were witness to, people are desperately crying out for more police help on different venues, different situations. So I think this will give you the ability to address those needs. So I commend you on your requests.
Thank you very much. It does give us some flexibility, but I just want to stress I don't see any of the residents from Walnut Street here, but this will definitely give us the ability to mitigate the problem. It will not solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It won't solve the problem on any street. However, the more we can get officers out there, the more we can reduce the speeds, keep the trucks off of excluded ways, stop the turnaround traffic. And when they see you out there, they realize that this town is, means business when it comes to traffic enforcement. And the word seems to get out, and we do well. And traffic enforcement happens in many ways. It's not just a civil citation, but it's a written warning. Sometimes if you stop a vehicle and the person has a very good driving history, a verbal warning will do. So the officers do have that, ability to determine what is the appropriate response, and I think they do a great job with it, and that's what we're looking to continue.
So now, given the savings in our time, I believe we have one budget item that we're saving over $150,000 with. Is there anything we can do with that to assist you with moving this process along quicker?
Well, I have my budget, which is due soon, so I'll be, I've been working on that. I'll continue to work on that this week going forward. But if, there had been some talk in the past about perhaps creating some type of an overtime account to augment our ability to go out during certain times and have officers out there. There was some discussion amongst some people about having money that was set aside, and I'm not sure exactly how much that is, but National Development had some money that was set aside for for whatever reason. I think traffic mitigation was part of that. So certainly we're not going to get to where we need to be with just the 2 transfers. We need the additional staffing, which will take a while. So if we want to increase what we're doing beyond just having our 2 officers on the day shift to perform traffic enforcement, that would be something that the board should consider doing if there is additional monies out there. It's very difficult to have 2 people on Monday through Friday. If anything happens, excuse me, or if an officer has to appear in court, which happens often, if there's any type of a major call where one officer needs to be backed up, that ties up our whole shift, and which makes it impossible for us to perform traffic enforcement during those times. So, when I look at the traffic enforcement that we're doing, I do a comparative study from year over year, or for certain times this year compared to years prior, especially before the opening of Market Street. I'm very pleased with the activity that we've had, the increase. Even with losing some staffing, we're still able to increase what we were able to do in prior years. So that's a testament to the dedication that the officers have. But to what you're saying, certainly that's one avenue we could look at if that's something that the Selectmen would consider, which would give us more ability than we are able to do right now with the current atmosphere.
Well, we certainly have a fair amount of unexpected revenue this past year, and it certainly seems to me that we should first go, those money should first go to mitigate issues in town first before we then start in on special projects. This is something that helps us town-wide. It helps everybody, not any one area. For example, right now, we keep referring to the Walnut Street, Salem Street area, but there are going to be issues all around town at different times throughout the year. So that just seems to be the hot spot at this point. But I think in the future, the police will be needed in different parts of the town as we, dynamically grow in the future. So I'd like to make a motion to authorize Chief Breen to hire 2 transfers and the authority to bring on two officers from the eligibility list.
I'd second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chief?
Thank you very much.
As far as budgets though and all that, we'll work with our town administrator, and we'll work through, as you know, the whole process, and everyone has their input, and see how all that works out.
I'm just one department head amongst many. I certainly understand that, and I understand that, as far as staffing levels increase, we've had this discussion for some time. I think now is the right time. I think the money is there, which, it had not been there in the past from my discussion with prior selectmen and also with Bill. But now that it is here, it'll come at a time that is very much needed. And I'll get started on this immediately. I'll post the 2 positions tomorrow, and we'll see what we get for applications for transfers, and then now we can start the process with the officers for the academy. So,
Excellent.
I'll get going. Thank you very much.
Good point.
Appreciate
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
Chief.
And I forgot to mention this earlier, but Bill Gustus is not with us tonight. He got called out of town, so he should be back at our next meeting. Next on the agenda is a discussion of renewal of Class 2 auto dealer license, automotive for 4 Trickett Road. And is it Mr. Chattis?
Gentlemen, yes.
Hi. So what's this all about?
Okay, gentlemen,
How did we get to where we are?
I'm guilty with an explanation, and I like to explain the situation. I've been an automobile wholesaler for approximately 40 years. I was granted a license in the town of Lynnfield about 8-9 years ago. The license did have stipulations that there was no signs, no storage of vehicles, etc. on the property on Trickett Road, which I agreed to and I respected. My situation was I had 3 or 4 or 5 vehicles maybe stored at a detail shop, reconditioning shop in Peabody for many years. They would detail them, I would take them and sell them to various other dealerships. The situation around October was that the detail shop told me they're ceasing operations to find another location to store my excess vehicles, 4 or 5 vehicles. I did secure a location in East Boston, Massachusetts for November 1st. And middle of October, we decided to proceed and move them from Peabody to East Boston. But when we got to East Boston, we were informed that the prior tenant or the tenant that was there has not moved out yet. So I was stuck with a half a dozen vehicles with no place to park them. So my only other option was to take them to my home until they could get their people out of East Boston and I could move them. About a couple weeks after they were stored on Trickett Road, I got a call from the building inspector, Mr. Roberto. And he says to me, he was informed that there was vehicles on the property. He went down and saw them. There was a half a dozen unregistered vehicles on the property. He says, my advice to you, sir, is to get them off the property as soon as possible, because if you don't, you might jeopardize the renewal of your license. And he said that to me on a Monday, I believe. I said, I'll have them out by the end of the week. I believe I had them all out by that Wednesday or Thursday morning at the latest, so there are no unregistered vehicles on the property on Trickett Road. The other thing is, I was told they were observing vehicles there in the daytime with no license plates on. I explained it to him that I'm an automobile dealer and I go to different auctions 3 or 4 days a week. And the thing was, some of my co-dealers and other dealers in the area would meet at my home, park their car in my driveway, we'd jump in one vehicle and go to a different auction here and there. And then we'd come back, they'd retrieve their vehicles and go home. So the vehicles were technically parked in my driveway without a license plate on it, but they weren't really stored there because it was just a temporary thing, 4, 5, 6 hours sometimes.
Because by some of the photos, there's more than 6 cars on the
Well,
property.
I have 5 vehicles registered at that property. There is 5 vehicles that are registered legally at the property. Excise tax is paid to the town.
I actually drove by your home a little over a week ago, and there were at least 9 cars that I counted.
Well, 5 were
And this
registered.
was at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I didn't see any license plates on on any of the cars.
Well, the other
I
thing-
drove by 3 times.
Well, the other thing is when we go to an auction in the morning, the dealers would put their car in my driveway, take their plate off, so if they went to an auction and bought something, they could use the plate to get it home. I have since stopped that practice after speaking to Mr. Roberto, the building inspector. So that is not happening anymore. It will not happen no more.
What date did you actually stop storing cars on your property?
A week ago, he called me on a Monday, so 2 weeks ago, so I took them out that same Thursday or Wednesday. They're all gone. The only thing there is cars that are registered. I know Mr. Roberto called me on a Monday. Everything was gone by Wednesday or Thursday.
And how long have you been storing cars on your property?
The only time they were there to this extent was from October when I took them out of Peabody. I was supposed to move them to East Boston by the 1st of November, and we couldn't put them in East Boston because there was no room. The people that were there just didn't get out. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. But now if you go by there, there's no vehicles there at all except, my own.
Have you had neighbors or butters say anything to you about it?
No, they don't say nothing. I'm very friendly with the neighbors. I plow their snow farm in the winter. I take in their trash barrels if I see it when I come out in the morning, I don't have any neighbor problems at all.
And has there been any communication with the police department on this?
The only notice I got was a notice from your clerk over here who sent me a letter, informing me rather about this meeting. That's the only conversation I've had with the police
And Mr.
department.
Roberto, he just came out and verbally said that something,
No,
or
he
did he
came
write you
out-
up at any time?
No, he did not. He came out and he left his card on my doorbell, and then he called me. So I spoke to him. Then when I came out, I found his card on the doorbell. But he called me on a Monday morning about 10, 11 o'clock, I'd say, and by Wednesday, everything was gone. Because he warned me. He says, look, you don't want to get in trouble and jeopardize your license. You've had it for too many years, and without it, you have no source of income.
So where are all the vehicles now?
They're in East Boston, or they're gone, or sold.
And how do we have a guarantee that they won't come back?
I'll put a fence up if it, pleases the board. It's my only source of income. I'm not going to jeopardize it. I'm 60-odd years old. Nobody's going to hire me as a, automobile dealer at this stage. It's just something, I can promise you won't happen.
Chief Green?
Yeah,
Yes,
Chief, Chief, can you weigh in on this? I know you've had some experience on this.
With regard to the comments that I've heard, I would have to disagree based on historical perspective from this year alone. This is not just a recent incident. This photo was from January 16th of this year. There are at least 2 unregistered vehicles at that point. And then in November 6th to be exact, there are vehicles in this picture, which are also in the picture from December 1st. You can see there's appears to be a used police vehicle that's in this picture in December.
Yes, sir.
And that same vehicle appears to be buried in a 4-deep row of vehicles back in November.
Yes, sir. That's been gone already since the day Mr. Roberto called. And in reference to the other 2 vehicles, I have 2 dealer plates issued by the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles, and their advice to me was to take them off the vehicle at night, keep it in your house, because people are stealing dealer plates off vehicles. So I did, when I park my vehicle, I'll take the plate, bring it in the house, bring it out in the morning. So I do have 2 dealer plates which aren't shown in these photos.
In addition, in this photo, this was taken back in first week of December. In the rear of the house, unregistered vehicles were stored behind the house. Well, it's clear to me that this is not just a one-time thing. By his own admission, he performed duties for his neighbors so that they wouldn't call the police. Unfortunately, we got a call, and I took a ride down there, and quite frankly, it looked like Herb Chambers was going to open up a new car lot. There were 3 rows of 4 deep vehicles. I only saw 1 plate, and it was an out-of-state plate. And that's not including the vehicles behind the house. There were only 2 that I could see, but it looked like there were 4 behind there, potentially. It was tough to see from...
If I may interject, my entire driveway only holds 8 or 9 vehicles, and I do have 5 registered out the property. And the pickup truck over here, I do have it registered, I just didn't put the plates on it. It was registered 2 weeks ago.
I have a photograph here which is showing 10 vehicles alone, and there's certainly still room in the parking in the driveway.
I beg to differ, but
Well, there's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
there was another vehicle in the front
You
here.
can't, that would be grass and a tree, sir. But I don't want to get into an argument. Like I said, it's something that happened. It was an unfortunate thing on my part. I am guilty, to a degree. The only thing I can assure this honorable board is it will not happen again.
Thank you, Chief. So you've never been before this board before
Never been
regarding
before
this,
this board.
and you have 5 cars that are legally registered,
Absolutely.
and those are all used by family or you or?
Well, 2 of them are used by the company, and 3 of them are registered. My pickup truck is registered, the one that was in the corner there. I just never put the plate on it because I wasn't in any hurry to use it. And my girlfriend who lives with me, her car is legally registered. And there's 2 other vehicles.
Chief, excuse me a second. What prompted you to go out and take these pictures? Were these pictures taken by you or by neighbors?
I took these pictures.
Okay, so you went out how many different times?
At least 3.
Okay, and what prompted you every time?
Once
to
in
go?
January. Well, we got a call initially. It might have even been last year. But I went out in January. It looks like January 16th. I then happened to be driving by a construction site. I wanted to speak to an officer. I pulled over to the side, and I just happened to look over, and I saw many more vehicles than I did the first time. That was in November. And then more recently, the picture of December 1st, which clearly shows the same thing. So, I mean, Mr. Chadis is aware of the terms of the license, but he chose not to abide for whatever reasons, but I'll leave that up to you.
So there was no complaint, excuse me, Harvey. There was no complaints from January until November?
Not that I received.
Okay.
Again, it was an isolated incident. I do apologize to the board and to the town. And I'm agreeable to anything the board recommends.
Have you ever had anything in writing from the town that addressed this, or was it just verbal?
The only thing I got was the phone call from Mr. Roberto and the letter from your secretary here.
And the letter just came,
The letter just came in the mail, the
Right.
same day Mr. Roberto called me, as a matter of fact.
okay.
Well, the board should know that Mr. Chatus came to see me the other day in my office in Boston because he was concerned about it. And he popped in my office to discuss this, and he told me the same thing he discussed tonight. But we did talk about the infractions of his license, and also he talked about possible remedies that might give the board some comfort. And I can't say that he didn't mention it tonight. He talked about putting a fence up. He also mentioned he's got enough pavement there for 9 to 10 cars. He also mentioned maybe taking up some of the pavement and putting a fence in the way, so he couldn't be parking that many cars there, even if he was tempted to. So I didn't think that was a bad alternative. Maybe make it under the condition that he does make some changes to his yard and make it so he can't be pulling cars in there like he is now. I didn't think that was a bad alternative. I think the board should recognize that he is in violation of a license at least 3 times, if not more, and that maybe the change of his landscape in his yard would be a good alternative for the way it is now, and it would hopefully prevent him from continuing that, and along with his assurance that it won't continue, and with the knowledge that we still have the ability to revoke his license at any time if he continues this. So I would suggest that the board may make a condition to Mr. Chatus that he does change the landscape of his yard, reduce the amount of pavement, put a fence up that would prevent driving onto the lawn itself or the side where the cars are parked now, and then under provision also that if he does violate again, that it would be revoked during the year. That be
Because
acceptable?
I would add, I agree with what Selectman Crawford's saying, but I would add that, if the license is issued or renewed for you, that the first time this came up again, you'd be right back in front of the Board of Selectmen,
I don't want to be here, and the thing is,
you'd probably lose your license.
I moved to Lynnfield because I want to get out of the city. I want to live in a nice community, a nice neighborhood. I do not appreciate the cars being there myself, so I can imagine what the board is considering, so I don't appreciate it. I would never put them there again. It was a situation I was stuck between, like I said, a rock and a hard place. I had to leave them somewhere for a month or so, 4 weeks, and that was the situation. But again, I have no intent of running a used car operation out of Trickett Road in Lynnfield.
I have a few questions, Mr. Chatus, and that is, why do you have a registered car and the plates in your home? Why wouldn't you put them on the car?
Well, I just registered the pickup truck about a month ago, and I had no real use for the pickup truck, so I just kept the plates in the house. Matter of fact, they're in my automobile now in the back seat with the registration. I just never bothered attaching it.
Okay.
I just don't use it that much. I only go back and forth to the dump town here to dispose of some leaves and some brush, so I really don't use it that much.
So I would like to add, if we're going to conditionally allow the renewal of your license, I don't think you should ever have a car parked in your driveway that does not have a license plate. I think that should be one of the conditions as well.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, sir.
Also, I like the idea of Selectman Crawford, and you agree to reducing your tarred driveway, maybe by 50%?
Whatever's agreeable to the board, I'm agreeable to. You can just sit down someday and draw out a plan, and I'll be glad to,
Well,
abide by it.
we could probably iron this out right now. This is probably the forum to do it. Also, the fence that you want to put up shouldn't be a high-rise fence, so that, right, maybe a 3-foot fence.
Yeah.
So that if Police Chief Breen or one of the fine officers in the community should see this occurring again, that upon their notification, it would be my position that we would immediately remove your license from you.
Like I
So,
said, I'm not trying to do anything disrespectful to the town. It was just a situation I got myself into, and I alleviated it as soon as I got the phone call from Mr. Roberto. I assured him it wouldn't happen again. He didn't see any reason that it would. And I'm here, because I was notified to show at the meeting.
at the beginning of the year, did Police Chief Breen or anybody in his office communicate with you?
Absolutely not.
No, okay.
I did not. I communicated to somebody else in town, but apparently it was not followed up on.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So you did act in a reasonable amount of time?
Right, and pictures he had at the beginning of the year, there were license plates for those two vehicles. There were dealer plates. I kept them in the house as per request by the Registry of Motor Vehicles most of the time, because they don't want somebody just taking them off and using them on something.
So my limitation wouldn't maybe include one dealer plate on a vehicle, but not three
I don't have that.
vehicles with dealer plates?
No, I don't have that many. Unless somebody comes over to visit me and they have their own.
Then,
Yeah, why would you have two cars with dealer plates in your yard? You can only drive one at a time, so.
Well, in case I have to leave one
Do you,
somewhere,
do
I'd
do you have,
somebody-
do you have another location where you can leave that vehicle?
Not
if
for
you-
sale, no.
Okay,
I just have two to move them, one if I'm driving it, and one if somebody's driving the vehicle.
right.
The second vehicle. Plus, I have 3 registered vehicles at the location on Trickett Road.
and you'll be sure to put that plate on the registered pickup truck that you have?
I have it in my car, I can screw it on when I go home.
And you put it right on. Okay, Chief Breen, does this sound reasonable to you?
It does. I mean, I've dealt with Mr. Chase in the past, and he's not unreasonable. It's just, I think this got out of hand, and it seems as though we've addressed it today.
So we're back in control, Mr. Chavis?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Chavis's Class 2 auto dealer license, subject to no unregistered cars being parked in your driveway, no cars without plates in your driveway, putting up no higher than a 4-foot fence that could clearly be seen through,
Absolutely.
and removing half of your paved driveway,
Meaning, just put grass back?
grass down.
I could do that in the springtime, summertime, yes.
Okay. Say within 6 months? Does that give you
Summertime.
June?
Yeah.
Okay. If these items should not be followed by you, then Chief Breen and any one of his officers should notice that you're not abiding by these rules. They would inform us, and we'd be back at this again, but maybe with a different outcome.
Agreeable.
So it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Okay.
Very much.
thanks,
You're
Harry.
welcome. Thank you for being here, coming up before us.
Thank you for listening to me.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda is renewal of annual licenses, which is something we do every year. And if I recall, we sort of take these in each category and talk about them, but they're all subject to making sure all fees and stuff is collected.
I actually had a question for Chief Breen. Chief? I had a question before we dive into the renewal of all these licenses.
Yes.
Last year, there was some question of police access to different restaurants in town, and I wanted to know if that has been remedied.
It has. There was one particular restaurant where they didn't physically deny us access, but it became apparent to our officers that we were not welcome inside. We were never told we couldn't go in. They kind of greeted us at the door. I really don't need to go into any specifics because I had, subsequent to that, I had a discussion with the president of the company. We had a conference call. That was probably in the spring, and I have not had a problem since. So I have nothing to add to any of the other licenses.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
So the first category is alcohol licenses. Obviously, this is club licenses. The Wakefield Elks Home Association, Wakefield's Lodge, Elks Club, Bay State Road. Is there a motion to approve that one?
I move that we approve the alcohol license for the Wakefield Elks.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Common victular, all alcohol, is Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse, Valley High, Fat Cactus, Legal Seafoods, 99 Restaurant, The Ship, The Yard House, King's Bowl, Temescal Tequila Cantina, Fogakyu Lynnfield Restaurant.
I move that we approve the all alcohol licenses for those restaurants as read.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Restaurants with wine and malt is Wagamama Boston.
I move that we approve the renewal of the license for wine and malt for Wagamama.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Retail packaged goods stores, all alcohol. Donovan's Liquor, Kernwood Liquors, and the Wine Cellar.
I'll make a motion that we approve the retail package goods store all alcohol licenses.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Retail packaged goods store, wine and malt. Old Town Market, Lynnfield Gulf, Whole Foods Market.
I move that we approve the retail packaged goods store, malt, and wine licenses for those 3 establishments as read.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Automatic amusement device, Valley High, Fat Cactus, and Wakefield Lodge for Elks, or Wakefield Elks Lodge.
I move that we approve the automatic amusement device licenses, renewals for Valley High, Fat Cactus, and the Elks.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Common vicular licenses, Valley High, Center Court Pizza Grill, Christine's Cafe and Confections, Countryside Deli, Dunkin' Donuts, Broadway Fat Cactus, Davio's, Jean's Bake Shop, Legal Seafood, Louie's Pizza and Roast Beef, Lynnfield House of Pizza, Lynnfield Meat and Deli, the 98 Cafe Ming's Chinese Restaurant, 99 Restaurant, Old Town Market, Sagamore Springs Golf Club, The Ship, Lynnfield Golf, Whole Foods, Yard House, King's, Wagamama, Fogakyu, Temescal, Tivana, Pinkberry, Panera Bread, Stellar is the Boloco restaurant on Market Street, and Starbucks.
And
I'll make a motion
Boutique.
to. I'm sorry.
And the Grove Boutique, yes.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the common victular licenses as read.
A second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lodging houses. We have Megan Murphy, 10 Green Street, and we have James Wersakis, Lords of Lynnfield.
I move that we approve the lodging houses license renewals as read.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Fortune telling. Tatum Marino Jace.
I'll make a motion to approve the fortune telling of Tatum Marino Jace.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Livery license. Timothy Daly and Lasad Ayari.
I move that we approve the livery licenses renewals for Timothy Daly and Lasad Ayari.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Weekday entertainment license for Valley High, Fat Cactus, Davio's, Northern Steakhouse, Legal Seafoods, Wakefield Lodge of Elks, Yard House, King's, Wagamama, Fogakyu, Panera Bread, Boloco, Grove Boutique, Starbucks, and Temescal Cantina.
I move that we approve the weekday entertainment licenses renewals for those establishments as read.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Sunday entertainment license, Valley High, Broadway Lights, that's Fat Cactus, Legal Seafoods, Wakefield Lodge of Elks, Yard House, and King's.
I'll make a motion to approve the Sunday entertainment licenses as read.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Class 1 auto license, Flagship Motors, Smart Center Lynnfield, Kelly Jeep Chrysler, Kelly Nissan, Herb Chambers.
I move that we approve the renewals of Class 1 auto licenses for Flagship Motors, Smart Center, Lynnfield, Kelly Jeep, Kelly Nissan, and Herb Chambers.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Class 2 wholesale secondhand motor vehicles, Dealers Trust Corporation, HGC Automotive, 4 Trickett Road, Richard Lamusta, Blue Knight Auto Sales, and Taylor Motor Cars of Oak Street.
I'll make a motion to approve the Class 2 wholesale secondhand motor vehicle licenses. Dealer Trust Corp., HGC Automotive Inc., as we previously discussed earlier in this meeting, Richard M. Lamusta, DBA Blue Knight Auto Sales, and Taylor Motor Cars.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think that goes through the list, Bob. This is all contingent on we get our fees and all that done, okay? Okay, next on the list is an update on Pearly Burl property.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself. I had a prior business relationship to err on the side of extreme prudence and caution. I'll be leaving the room during this discussion, and call me when we're completed. Thank you.
We have Mr. Tom Mullen here, our town council, so thanks for being here, Tom.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for having me.
Maybe just a little update on what's going on with Pearly Burl, thanks.
Sure. By way of background, in August, we obtained a judgment from the Essex Superior Court in favor of the town and against the 2 Pearly Burl entities, both of which are owned by Mr. Pedotto. That judgment called upon Mr. Pedotto, required him within a month to file an application to remove the 5 underground storage tanks that we fear are or may be leaking into the ground and the groundwater beneath the Pearly Burl structures. And it further provided that within 60 days thereafter, he would have completed the removal and disposal of those tanks pursuant to all applicable law. Of course, nothing happened. And so in September, by which time he was to have at least applied for the permits to remove the 5 tanks, I filed a complaint for contempt. A complaint for contempt seeks a punishment against a defendant for failure to honor an order of the court. Mm-hmm. And it can take the form either of a fine or of going to jail. So we had a hearing in early October on my complaint for contempt, and by that time, Mr. Pedotto had spent the $250 to file the 5 applications to remove the 5 tanks. So the judge decided that he would enter a finding that there was indeed a contempt because the applications were not filed within the 30 days as ordered, but decided to give Mr. Pedotto some time to see if he could actually remove the tanks within the following 60 days. And so he entered the judgment that there was a contempt, but that he was going to stay his hand as to penalty, and we were going to have a further hearing, if necessary, on December 11th. That was last Thursday. Of course, nothing happened. So we had a hearing last Thursday, December 11th. I had an interesting meeting with Mr. Pedotto out in the hall. He was there with his lawyer, but his lawyer allowed me to talk with him personally. And Mr. Pedotto attempted to argue that he was this close to a deal with yet another third party who would come in and manage to buy the property, unearth the tanks safely. And this, of course, is baloney on stilts. It's the same kind of thing that we've heard repeatedly over the course of many months. Even his lawyer, I think, was not buying it. To his credit, Joe Brodigan, a Lynnfield resident who represents Mr. Pedotto, told the court, and I agreed, that this case can only result in bankruptcy, and bankruptcy would be in the best interest of everybody. So the judge at that point, seeing agreement between the two counsel, turned to me and said, "Well, Mr. Mullen, what do you want?" And I said, I want a short leash on Mr. Pedoto. I want you to set a hearing date really, really soon, and I suggested this Thursday, at which time, or by which time, if Mr. Pedoto had not filed for bankruptcy, then we would proceed with a hearing on penalty, fines, or what I would push for, imprisonment. And the judge agreed to that. So right now the status is we have a hearing scheduled for 10 a.m. on Thursday on penalty alone. I will be presenting my witness. It's an evidentiary hearing, and I expect that to be Captain Feinberg. Not that I've got all that much to prove, but I want to show the court that there has been a persistent history here of flouting the rules, and that we are not being hyper-technical about this. There is a real threat here to the health and safety of the people of Lynnfield. I don't expect that hearing is going to occur. I fully expect that Mr. Pedoto, now that his back is to the wall, will sign the papers, the bankruptcy papers that I understand have actually been drafted, and file them. Once that happens, all matters before the Superior Court are stayed. If that happens, that's good news, because we've never had any success in dealing with Mr. Pedoto. A bankruptcy trustee, on the other hand, reports to the bankruptcy judge, and both of them have an interest in making sure that the public interest is served. So I'd be happy to try to answer
So there
any
will be
questions.
someone that's like a trustee that will be easy to work with,
Well, that's the hope.
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a similar situation once in Wakefield, which I also represent, town I represent, where there was a developer who got close to finishing a subdivision, ran out of money, the security was not there anymore. It's a long story.
Right.
And the people in the area were very upset about their half-finished subdivision. That ended up in bankruptcy, and the town was able to work very cooperatively with the bankruptcy trustee and the bankruptcy court to take value out of the rest of the subdivision to apply it to completing the work necessary for the subdivision. So the town didn't have to reach into its own pocket, was never going to. And the residents got the completed subdivision that they were entitled to, all because the bankruptcy court recognized that the first priority was the health and safety of the people. I'm hopeful that if this matter goes to bankruptcy, as it should, we'll end up with a bankruptcy judge and a bankruptcy trustee who feel the same way.
Okay.
Tom, I gather from your statements that you have heard nothing since the meeting on Thursday.
No, I have not.
Is there any hope that he is going to cooperate and file bankruptcy, or is that pretty much his only alternative at this point?
Right now, his alternatives are either do that or show up at a hearing on Thursday and, I think, expect to bring a toothbrush with him.
Yeah. Do you think the court would infringe on his freedoms if he showed up without doing anything? They might throw him in court. I mean, throw him in jail.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly a little leverage on our side to hopefully get him to cooperate and do the right thing.
Right, because a fine against somebody who claims to be broke isn't going to do any good.
All right.
Right.
Well, I think it's moving in the right direction. I think this sounds like we'll wait and see what becomes of this Thursday. And our next meeting is after the first of the year. It'll be January 5th. So on that agenda, there will be an update on Pearlyboro once again. So hopefully you'll be able to help us there and provide that update. But really appreciate, Tom, everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
this
sure.
isn't going to be let go. It's got to just keep going to
yeah.
be resolved. It's gone on too long.
Great. Thank you, Tom.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Could you ask Mr. Terranova to come in?
So we just have the acceptance of our minutes, and that's it.
Yes. All right. We have some minutes to approve. One's November 24th, 2014, and December 1st, 2014. So, Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of November 24th. I didn't have any issues with those. I don't know about the other members here.
I have no issues.
I had one issue on page 10, third paragraph up, starting with Mr. Barrett. Not only did they discuss that, there was also a discussion where Mr. Dahlstead expressed that with the way the school department reports its budget, that to show a budget that only showed the increase going from fiscal year 15 to 16 would take a very short period of time because the documentation was so well prepared.
Okay. Could you just read, do you have that written down, Tom?
I have something written down.
Make a copy of it so I
Sure,
can.
we can make a copy of that. So I'd make that was really the only adjustment that I had. So with that adjustment, I'd make a motion to approve the November 24th BOS minutes, subject to that one change.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And the December 1st, I have no comments on those minutes. Fine to me.
I'm fine with those.
I'm fine with that as well. So I'll make a motion to approve the December 1st Board of Selectmen minutes.
Second?
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
No, I'm not ready to adjourn yet.
Okay, I'll go back. I'm sorry.
A couple things. I had a chance to go to the Lynnfield High School winter concert, and I have to tell you that the kids there did a great job. From the bands and the music and the instruments to all the kids singing. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me how great that the music programs and the art programs are with our schools. So I just wanted to say thank you to the Lynnfield High School staff and all the kids that put that winter program on. The other thing I wanted to let everyone know is I do not plan to seek re-election in April. I have some priority changes in my life, and I'm going to focus more on my family, spend time with my daughters, and also I have family in California. So that's all I'm going to say about it right now. But I do not plan to seek re-election. And for the news media, somewhere along the way towards the election time, I would like to sit down with you and maybe do an exit interview and give you a little insight on a few things, if you don't mind. So with that, at least for my announcements, I just want to wish everyone out in Lynnfield a happy holiday and a safe new year, and we will not be back until January 5th for our next regular meeting. So I don't know if any other board member has any comments to say, but
Like to convey the same wishes. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and we'll see you all next year.
I'd like to wish all of Lynnfield a very happy, Merry Christmas, a healthy and prosperous New Year for everybody. Happy Hanukkah, and if there's any religions that I missed, and I'm sorry for missing it, but I wish everybody good fortune and good health for this upcoming year.
and I did see the manger out on the common is lit up, and I saw the menorahs up there ready to go. So the common is going to be pretty festive and lit up this season. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second that?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lynnfield.